In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the updates Eversolo has implemented into their new streamers, the DMP-A6 Gen 2 and the DMP-A6 Master Edition Gen 2. Now, we reviewed and compared Eversolo's Generation 1 A6 and A6 Master Edition streamers back in 2024, and our entire team was quite surprised with what they offer at their price. They seem to have checked a lot of boxes in terms of features and definitely have been a powerful force in the music streamer market. They are really well built, they sound great, have a fantastic app with a ton of customization, and have a bright, beautiful, and responsive touchscreen. Now, since their release, they've won multiple awards and received approval from many trusted audiophiles in the business. In fact, it's no secret that there has been a recent takeoff of new streamers from new brands and well-established brands in the last few years. Brands like Macintosh, NAD, Blue Sound, Hi-Fi Rose are just a few that have upgraded and released new streamers in just the last year or so. Now, this is partially due to the fact that high-resolution streaming is becoming extremely popular and everyone wants to add that feature to their systems. However, you could also argue here that companies like Eversolo have helped fuel the momentum and push the entire industry forward regarding what is possible with a music streamer. A big part of Eversolo's initial success was their price tag. Sitting at around $1,000 for their A6 units, they seem to have found a sweet spot in the market. They took all the feedback that they could, and in late 2024, they decided to dip their toes into the higher end market with their DMP-A10 streamer and AMP-F10 amplifier. Now, we also did a full overview on both of those units that you should check out in the link in the description if you really want to get the absolute best quality. Now, while those units aren't cheap, coming in at around $6,200 for the pair of them, we found them to put up a good fight against other options in that price category, even when compared to those well-established companies that have been in the game for so many decades longer. However, we know many people that are looking at Eversolo are probably attracted to their performance for their price. Well, Eversolo has again surprised us with an updated version of their best-selling streamers, the A6 and A6 Master Edition. Luckily for us, they didn't make it really hard to differentiate the names, as the new ones have just added the Gen 2 to the end. Now, for those of you who have seen our full overview of the original A6 units and already know all about them, we'll make this easier for you by starting up front with what the upgrades are in these new Gen 2 models. We'll then give you our thoughts on whether we think these new units are worth upgrading to, depending on what you currently have. And if you haven't seen our video on the first generation Eversolo streamers, you can keep watching after that to learn all about the rest of the technology and features packed inside the A6 Gen 2 and A6 Master Edition Gen 2. And remember, you can be among the very first to get your Eversolo unit by purchasing at audioadvice.com, where we offer free shipping, lifetime expert support, and a price guarantee. I'll leave links down in the description to all the products we discuss in this video. All right, the first upgrade in both units is their power supply. Anyone worth their salt in audio knows that a power supply can make a large difference in audio quality, as the better ones will have much less noise and better support all of the components inside. The A6 and A6 Master Edition Gen 1s feature a low noise, high quality power supply, while the A6 Gen 2 and A6 Master Edition Gen 2 step up to a linear power supply. This will reduce noise levels lower than the first generation units and provide a cleaner and more stable power source for the audio circuit. The next upgrade that so many of us here at Audio Advice were excited to see is the addition of the HDMI ARC port. This is a big one, as we would have loved to see it on the first models, and we know so many others wished it was there. We're happy to see Eversolo take this feedback and implement it on both the new Gen 2 models. And don't worry, this doesn't replace the HDMI out that can be used for DSD native and PCM multi-channel audio up to 5.1, although there is still no Dolby Atmos support. The new HDMI ARC input supports stereo PCM at 192 kHz 24-bit, allowing you to easily plug your TV into the Gen 2 models and use your TV remote to control the volume. To make them even more compatible, the new Gen 2 models now implement a 12-volt trigger out, so your devices can actually interact with each other and automatically power on and off. This makes both of the Gen 2 models simpler to integrate into your home theater or audio systems. Next up, both new Gen 2 models also feature Wake-on-LAN when they're connected to your network via Ethernet. This is another feature we know so many people have been asking for. It may seem like a small one, but it definitely adds a ton of convenience to any audio setup. Wake-on-LAN allows you to wake up your Eversolo unit via the app on your phone instead of walking up and turning the unit on with the power button manually. This is especially helpful if you have the unit far away or in a cabinet and you don't want to have to always walk up, press the power button to start playing music. Instead, you can just pull out your phone, turn on your Eversolo unit. The 12-volt trigger can then even tell your amps to fire up, and you can listen to your music without ever touching your gear or opening up your cabinet. Next is Eversolo's EVC output engine. This proprietary technology employs a unique volume adjustment algorithm to precisely eliminate errors at different gain levels, ensuring that when adjusting the volume, the signal shape remains unchanged. This provides the DAC with more complete and accurate audio information, which is going to ultimately enhance the overall sound quality. And finally, there are a few more updates that are specific to the A6 Master Edition Gen 2. First is that it's now offered in a really sleek silver finish instead of the black finish like the rest of the models. The chassis is still the same brushed aluminum look, but the new silver color with silver badges and logos give it a distinct look that is different from the rest of the DMP lineup. The other new feature is that this unit only has the new RGB dynamic light around the volume knob. This is purely aesthetic and allows you to customize the color around the volume knob from the app or right from the home screen. Okay, so I know so many people that click to watch this video are just here to see if the Gen 2 versions are worth it to upgrade from the original models or decide which model to get if it's their first Eversolo unit. So let us start by saying if you are looking for an upgrade in sound and you own the original A6 or A6 Master Edition, simply upgrading to the same model but the Gen 2 version of your model will most likely not really give you a massive improvement in terms of sound. However, if you currently own the A6 and want to jump up to the A6 Master Edition Gen 2, and you have the budget, this is going to be a much better upgrade path as you get better op amps, better clocks, and the additional new upgrades that we highlighted in the Gen 2 models. This is a little bit of a bigger jump in price, but it's definitely worth it if you want better sound. I honestly and realistically would really only recommend upgrading to the same model but the Gen 2 version of it if you want to stay in the same budget range and you'd get a lot of use out of some specific upgrades like the HDMI ARC, the 12-volt trigger, and the Wake-on-LAN. If those have been bothering you for some time and you want to integrate this system with your TV, then yeah, the Gen 2 will be a perfect match. Just don't expect to hear a massive difference in sound quality just by jumping to the Gen 2 of your model. What's a more interesting comparison is the DMP-A8 compared to the DMP-A6 Master Edition Gen 2. With the new upgrades in the Master Edition Gen 2, this unit's starting to look a little bit closer in features and quality to the A8, which is only a few $100s more. However, we still have to say that most of our team enjoys the sound of the A8's AKM DACs compared to the Gen 2's ESS DACs. The A8 also just has more features like R2R volume control, I2S, and automatic room correction that really just set it apart from the Gen 2 Master Edition. So you ultimately really need to consider your needs and what's going to be most important to you. Of course, if you want the best Eversolo has to offer, which has all of the features that we just talked about and more, and it sounds better, the A10 is going to be for you. And again, we have detailed reviews on all the DMP units from Eversolo. If you want to learn more about a specific model, I'll link them all down below. So now that I've given you some of the main upgrades and the differences between the original models and the new Gen 2 models, let's dive a little bit further and talk about the build quality, features, and technology that these units use that have made them so popular over the last few years. First, while these units are pretty light, they feel well built and they're very solid overall, leaving us no complaints in the build quality department. But the real star of the design here, like in the original models, is that stunning 6-inch touchscreen. It's bright, it's vibrant, and highly responsive, and it just feels intuitive to use, almost like using an iPhone. We've all encountered those frustrating touchscreens that require extra pressure or they just lag behind your finger movements, but that's just not the case with the Eversolo units. The glass touchscreen for us was really just a joy to interact with, and it's just effortless and smooth, and it's never a hassle. Now, if we know for some, this might not really be a game changer having a screen on your unit, especially if you plan to control the unit remotely via your phone and sit across your room or put it in a cabinet. But honestly, it's hard to deny how great these Eversolo units look. With various display options to choose from, like having the album art on the screen or using different styles of view meters, it's not just functional, it's really a stylish addition that brings a modern wow factor to your entire setup. When you look at the home screen, there's icons for music, streaming, files, sources, and settings. Below those main controls, you can customize a row of apps to show your most used streaming services, apps, or music cloud drivers. When you tap the streaming icon, it will show you the music services that are already installed and tailored to work seamlessly on the Eversolo units, such as Tidal, Qobuz, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Internet Radio, and so many more. In addition, multiple third-party apps can also be side-loaded. All of these apps, even the third-party ones, can still play the original sampling rate thanks to EOS, or Eversolo Original Sampling Rate Audio Engine, which was developed to completely bypass the Android SRC restriction. So yes, no matter what your streaming app of choice is, you will get the highest resolution offered when using its app. In addition, each unit is room-ready, supports Tidal Connect, Qobuz Connect, DLNA, and AirPlay, and has Bluetooth 5.0. In addition, they both include a small hatch on the bottom that can house up to a 4TB M.2 SSD for storing your local music collection. You can also connect a network storage device, allowing the system to fetch music metadata from the cloud and build a personalized library. The USB ports on the back can connect the device to a PC, making it easy to copy and manage other local files. Another option is the SMB function, which lets you share files from the device, essentially turning it into a network storage device that can stream your music to other devices. They also support NFS, WebDAV, and UPnP. Plus, you can connect a CD player to the unit and use the CD RIP app to transfer CDs directly to the internal storage. These Eversolo units just do so much. Okay, now let's move to the back of them. There are 3 antennas, one for Bluetooth and the other 2 are for Wi-Fi. You also get a gigabit Ethernet port, HDMI out for DSD audio, USB-A for connecting to an attached drive, USB-A audio out, coax digital in, optical digital in, an updated USB-B for computer audio in, RCA analog outs, balanced XLR analog outs, a new 12-volt trigger, and the new HDMI ARC port. The USB port supports DSD 512 native and PCM 768 kHz 32-bit. The optical and coax ports support DSD 64, PCM 192 kHz and 24-bit. They can play back just about every format, including FLAC, WAV, APE, etc., so you're covered no matter what format you use. Alright, now one of the most critical aspects of any music streamer is the quality of its mobile app, and Eversolo has done a fantastic job here. The app is well organized and easy to navigate, giving you full control over your music library, settings, and even volume adjustments, all again right from your phone. One of our favorite app features is the ability to log into multiple music streaming services, such as Qobuz, Tidal, Amazon Music, and others. You can then use Eversolo's global music collection to search and see tracks and albums from different services all on one screen and make a playlist across the services. This allows you to search all your services that you're subscribed to, find that one song or album, and play it directly in the Eversolo app. Another unique addition here that we want to talk about is the screencast feature, which allows you to mirror the Eversolo's display onto your phone. This creates a fully interactive experience where you can see and control everything in real time. Since some apps aren't directly accessible within the Eversolo app, you can simply mirror the screen, open the app, and manage your music seamlessly from your phone with this workaround. Again, we go over this in our setup guide for audio device purchasers if you want to learn more. Now, both units keep the option to adjust a graphic and parametric EQ on the screen or in the app. The parametric EQ in the Eversolo units lets you adjust down to a specific frequency and adjust how steep or wide that adjustment is. So, if you have peaks at 37 Hz and 120 Hz in your room, you can dial into those specific ones. You will need to use something like Room EQ Wizard to find those peaks, but if you want to really get into it and fix your room, it's great to see these tools on hand. Now, if you want to step up to Eversolo's automatic room correction software, which they've implemented into the A8 and A10, you will need to jump up to those models as it's still not in these Gen 2 versions. Now, if you're going to use the DAC inside these units, one of the most important aspects that many are going to ask here is which model is used. Well, the new Gen 2 versions keep that same DAC, which is the 2 ESS Sabre ES9038 Q2M DACs. And if you already have an incredibly good DAC without streaming, you can also simply attach an Eversolo with any of its digital outs. Also, the standard A6 Gen 2 keeps the same 2 high-precision crystal oscillators to reduce jitter, while the A6 Master Edition Gen 2 keeps the same upgraded femto clock system with ultra-low noise and jitter for an even more pure sound. This is important because when a clock signal drifts and even the slightest bit, it creates small variations between samples, causing timing errors in the audio signal being played. So getting this timing as accurate as possible is really what brings the music to life, making it sound more like a live performance. We found that's why a lot of people prefer the Master Edition sound over the regular A6. Now, there is one more difference between both models in the Gen 1 and Gen 2. The Master Edition Gen 2 stays with the upgraded OPA1612 op amp, which costs twice as much as the one in the A6. The OPA1612 just offers a warmer sound while maintaining a silky smooth and extended top end, again making the Master Edition just sound ever so slightly better than the A6. So when you look at all of the features that I just went over and the level of components in these new Gen 2 products, they're pretty astounding. But if the entry-level A6 Gen 2 is still a stretch for you, I want to give you some advice here. Some of our favorite DAC preamp streamers for the money are the updated Bluesound Node Nano, and the WIM Ultra. We did compare the A6 Gen 2 to the Node, and again, we probably thought it edged it out just a little bit, but if you don't need a touchscreen and you would like a subwoofer out, it's really hard to beat the Node for the money. In fact, the Bluesound Node is one of the most popular options that many of our staff here at Audio Advice use in their own home personal systems. However, if you have or you're thinking about getting high-performance speakers now or in the future, it's always best to get the best source you can, so think about that when you're creating your budget. There's a lot of great options from brands like Bluesound, WIM, NAD, Name, Macintosh, and so many more that are really worth comparing. If you're stuck trying to pick where to start and you're not sure about these Eversolo units, although they are a great option, our team can help guide you in the right direction. So I hope that this video has given you a really good in-depth overview of the updates in these Gen 2 models, and hopefully I've given you a good insight if they're worth upgrading to. Now, if you do have further questions, you can contact our experts via chat, phone, or email at audioadvice.com, or simply visit one of our world-class showrooms to experience Eversolo units and so much more for yourself before you make a purchase. And remember, when you buy from Audio Advice, you're buying from a trusted seller since 1978. We offer free shipping, lifetime expert support, and our price guarantee. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Leave a comment down below, let me know if you're upgrading to these Gen 2 models and what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.